Chat with Matt, episode 47, I believe this is. Gotta double check that. Apparently, I don't know my own schedule. Yep, 47. And I'm here with former classmate turned real estate agent, Austin Clark. How you doing, man?
Great. How are you?
Good. So, we met when you were in your second year of music business management, and I was in my first year. So, I'm just really curious how you went from being in a music business management program to becoming a real estate agent. So, like, explain to me that journey, because you kind of like fell off the radar a little bit after MBM. I didn't hear much about you, and then all of a sudden, I'm seeing you pop up with real estate.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So MBM was awesome. When I was in that program, I was thinking where I wanted to be was major record label. So throughout the whole like school process, I had my eyes set on like Universal or Warner Music. In my third year, I got an internship at Warner. So I was a marketing intern there, which was sweet. I was working with a lot of the dance acts, electronic artists, that sort of thing, which is something I'm really passionate about. So that was great. I got a lot of experience from there. And then after that, got a job at Universal Music, where I was working for the distributed labels. So Taillon, Arts and Crafts, all those kinds of labels that had all the indie artists was what I was working with, which was super cool too. I'm really passionate about that kind of stuff, love indie rock, and all of that. So that was a great experience as well, and really took over all of my marketing experience to that job. Um, and it was great, but at the same time, I have a huge passion for music, and it felt to me at the time that I was working in a corporate world. It wasn't so much I was so much involved in the music. So I kind of felt like I was not loving music as much as I wanted to be, if that makes sense. So something I'm really passionate about is I've been playing guitar for like 15 years now, something like that. Huge passion of mine. And I just kind of felt like I was getting away from the passion. It was more just a job, which is not what I was into. And on top of that, I'm a huge like travel guy. So at the time, I wanted to travel to Peru to go to the Amazon rainforest. Um, and I wanted to do like a month trip in the Amazon, but I only had 2 weeks vacation at Universal. And I was like, oh, that's bullshit. So I kind of reevaluated my life. I wanted something where I could have the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. If I want to be in the Amazon for a month, I can do that. I don't have to report to anybody. And then on top of that, I wanted a job where if I'm working super hard, I get the rewards of that. So that was something that was really important to me as well. I felt like I was working really hard at Universal, and there was only there was a cap on what I could make per year. And that didn't sit right with me either, especially if I'm working harder than the people around me, is the way that I viewed it. So I really wanted to get into real estate so I could help those around me. I feel like it's a business where people our age don't know too much about it. And it's important to have somebody who can take care of them in that aspect and make sure that they don't get screwed over. So that was something I was super passionate about, but at the same time, I can also have my own business. So I've been loving it. Yeah, I've been doing it for almost 2 years now, and no looking back.
No, it's phenomenal. Something I just want to touch on with you was you mentioned the music and going from what you feel like is a more organic kind of environment to a more corporate kind of environment. Did you continue to pursue anything artistic outside of Universal, or was your time very limited for what you could and couldn't do?
Outside of it, I mean, I always have been in bands myself. So I've like back in the day, I did like little tours around Ontario in my old metal band, and that was awesome. To be honest, that's where my passion is it's more the live scene of music. So I didn't do too much of that when I was at Universal, to be honest. But the best part of Universal was when I would go to the shows for the acts I was working for. You know, you get to get that live experience. You get to meet the artists that you're working for. They're all super appreciative for everything you're doing. that was honestly like the best part for sure.
And then you mentioned you want to take a month trip to the Amazon, which is definitely a left turn I didn't expect in that story. Um, what so was that part of a major factor in making you click to wanting to have a bit more freedom in your life, or was there other factors as well to that?
I would say that was a major part. I guess I've never really been in a full-time position in the industry. Um, I'm sure that there are other jobs where you would have a little bit more flexibility, but something where you're working that 9 to 5, 5 days a week, you get just that 2 weeks vacation. Over time, maybe you get to a month. But for me, that was something definitely that was a big part of wanting to switch to real estate because I wanted more freedom and not to have to abide by these rules in a way.
And what specifically about the real estate industry made you interested? Because you obviously mentioned having a younger demographic involved in there, not knowing as much. It's something I definitely want to discuss a little bit later. But with with real estate, what was it something that was always in the back of your mind, or was it something that was more you came across it one day and you've just felt that was it?
Yeah, to be honest, I never really thought about it. And even when we were in MBM, like we had that entrepreneurship or owning your own business, some class like that. And at the time, I was not interested, to be honest with you. Um, so I kind of just stumbled upon it. I mean, I've always been a very artistic person and enjoying music, and being in that industry is a very creative industry. And I feel like homes, in a way, are similar because of the architecture, the way that you can finish the homes, everything like that, um, is very artistic as well. So that was definitely something that drew me to it.
And you mentioned the entrepreneurship class. Are how much of what you're doing now has MBM taught you and prepared you for? Like, did any of it really translate over? Or is it kind of like a new set of skills altogether?
I would say the biggest thing is work ethic. So definitely in that course, you have to be on top of your game when you're doing all of the assignments, especially Greg Jarvis. Um, that kind of stuff definitely carried over, and having that, what's the word? Um, Self motivation, I guess, was very important. Definitely took that over from school as well, and the marketing aspect as well. I mean, like getting homes sold is all digital nowadays. Like you need to have the best photography, the best videography. It needs to be presented as best as possible online because that's where everybody's looking for a house first before they go see anything. So that marketing and creative aspect is definitely very important for what I carried over.
And so let's take it back to wanting to go to the Amazon, wanting a life change, reevaluating everything. I really don't know too much about the real estate. Was there's a main reason why I want to have an agent, and it just so happens that you're one, which is perfect because I know you. What were the steps that it took for you to actually become a real estate agent?
Yeah, so the steps to become an agent are not too difficult. It's about a year to, I'd say, 2 years of schooling. Really depends how fast you move with it because it's on your own time, or at least that's how it used to be. I know they just came out with a new program through Humber, so I'm not super familiar with that. But at the time that I did it, you could do it all online. So I took the course online, basically took it on as a full-time job. So I was working 7 days a week, just grinding that out, got it done within a year. So I had my license within a year of starting the course.
Okay, and what were some of those things that you had to learn throughout that under a year getting all that done?
Yeah. So as far as the courses go, I mean, they have courses in residential, all aspects of commercial properties as well. So you could be selling farms or industrial or retail stores or things like that. So there's a lot to cover. And just everything from start of the process to end of the process. There's a lot that you have to know. And in a way, the real estate agent is the middleman for everything that goes on. There's lawyers involved, there's movers, there's financing from banks or mortgage brokers. And you're sort of the one that's coordinating that with your client and all of those people as well.
So in a way, it actually is like the music industry a lot, because that sounds like the role of an artist manager in a way where you're dealing with all the different aspects.
100%. Yep.
And I'm curious, what would your advice be for those who are looking to get into the real estate game?
I would say first thing is truly ask yourself if it's right for you, because it is a lot of self-motivation. It's a lot of hearing no's. It's a lot of struggle, to be honest, for the first 2 years, I would say, before you start to see anything start to pick up. And over the past 6 months, I've started to see that success pick up because of the original year and a half that I just grinded every single day, and basically got nothing for it. So I would say you have to have really thick skin. And that's something I think as well that you get a lot from the music industry too, is you hear a ton of no's. And you can either take those and get feedback and try and improve, or you can quit there. So I would say if you are a very thick-skinned person and you want that freedom and to have your own business, I definitely consider it.
So what would you say is one of the biggest challenges that you deal with on a daily basis?
Challenges is just hearing no, to be honest. I mean, every day I'm doing lead generation. So the way that I lead generate is just going out, I guess in simple terms, is going out to people that you don't know, and you're trying to find out who wants to buy a house, sell a house, or even lease. So before the pandemic, I was door knocking every day. I door knock for about 3 hours and do about 100 doors a day. And there's a lot of people who just slam the door in your face, or, are rude to you. So you have to be able to take that and say, it doesn't matter, on to the next. And so hearing that no every day gives you that thick skin, but it also is like super rewarding when you finally get the yes.
Oh, I can imagine. What is your, I guess the word specialty, like what kind of properties do you mainly focus on when you're selling?
Yeah, so I mainly focus on residential. I have done a little bit of commercial as well, for retail stores, but my passion is really residential. Like I want to help families sell or buy a house. I want to help people our age buy their first home or first condo or whatever it is, because it's a really stressful process for a lot of people. So my goal is just to make it as easy as possible and make it something that's fun for the people I'm working with.
So, and what market are you working? Are you working like Toronto, or are you working like secondary markets, or where are you working right now?
Yeah, so basically anywhere from Toronto to Barrie, really.
Okay.
As far east as Durham, Oshawa area, and as far west as Mississauga. So it's a pretty big area, and I've built a bunch of contacts over the years in the music industry as well that live in a bunch of different areas, so I have to be able to service it as well.
No, absolutely. So we're going to take our first quick little music break here, an ad break for our sponsor, Anchor, and we'll see you guys back here in the field. from our music break, and thank you once again to our sponsor, Anchor, for sponsoring this podcast. I want to talk to you about the current state of the market, because obviously, before we get into that, how has COVID affected what you do from a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, it's honestly the first month or two, 95% of all agents had no idea what to do. Very understandable, right? Like it's something that we've never come across. So right at the beginning, nobody wanted to sell their house. Nobody wanted anybody coming in their house. And there was virtually no buyers that wanted to go to somebody else's house as well. So there was a huge shift in the market. And I feel like that's something also that I can relate back to the music industry as well. Because I remember when we were in school learning about how it went from vinyl and CD sales to online and everybody just getting music for free, and how the music industry really didn't adopt the new format, and they kind of got screwed over in the end because they weren't quick to adopt to it. So when COVID started, I thought of it in that perspective, how I need to adopt what's going on right now and make a shift in order for my business to continue. So something I really focused on was there was a bunch of online showings. So rather than somebody going into a home, maybe I would go in, be on FaceTime, whatever, or if the seller had videos that they had taken of the home, buyers were buying places without physically seeing them. People were getting leases without physically going to see them. So it was a big change in the industry. And I also feel like that's why photography and video is like so important. And it's almost amplified even more because of the virus.
And do you think that it's going to be translating more online in the future going forward? Or do you think once it's safe to, it's going to go back to that more traditional, actually going and seeing the property in person?
Well, over the past, I'd say 3 months, I have been doing a ton of in-person showings still. There are a lot of restrictions and safety measures taken. So for a lot of these properties, the buyers have to sign off saying that they're not sick, that they haven't come in contact with anybody with COVID. And then on top of that, we are, using hand sanitizer before going in and wearing masks throughout the property too. So taking as many precautions as possible. I think when the virus is done, that we will go back to what it used to be. But I still think that the digital portion will be even more important than it was before, because there will be some people who are still a little bit weary of going to a property in person.
Well, and I think what this pandemic's kind of taught us and shown us is we can actually do a lot more stuff online than we realize, because there's a lot of noise being made in Toronto, especially right now, about businesses and a lot of people working remotely from home permanently going down the line. And do you think real estate could be something along where it's like you're literally just sending someone videos of houses and you don't actually have to go anything, you don't have to wear any pants, and you just like, okay, here you go.
Yeah, for sure. I think it depends on the demographic as well. Um, I think the younger demographic for sure is a little more comfortable with that sort of process. But there are, I would say buyers that are 50 plus who still want that traditional going into the home to see it in person. Um, so I think it really depends on who the client is, but definitely in the future, I can see that happening.
And with COVID, I just want to focus on Toronto for a second. With COVID, how has the pricing for properties gone in Toronto? Because like I followed it a bit, but I've seen like it go up and down and up and down. So like, where do you think overall the market would be heading potentially?
Yeah. So obviously, it's hard for me to say for sure, but um, what you were like hinting at before is everybody is working from home, or a majority of people are. So because of that, there are a ton of people who lived in condos in Toronto, no longer need to be in Toronto to go to work because they can do their work from home. So they're wanting to get out of the condo and buy a house a little further north that has some land, maybe a backyard, things like that, so they can get out of the house during this pandemic and actually have something to do. So I'm seeing a ton of condos go up for sale at amazing prices. Like if you're looking to buy right now, buying a condo, perfect time. If you're looking to sell a condo, now is not the time. Um, but yeah, so all those sellers are moving north. So home sales, home prices are going through the roof as well because people want a bigger place. They want a little bit of land. So I'm seeing pretty much all across Ontario, home prices are continuing to go up.
So when you say like buying a bit of land, do you mean like these people are getting houses and like buying like an acre or two on top of that, or what do you mean by that?
Yep. So it really depends on the area that you're looking in. I mean, buying a house in Toronto, you're not going to have a ton of land anyways. You might have a small backyard, but you're going to have a little bit more space as far as your house versus condo. Um, People, for the most part, though, are moving out of Toronto, so to the suburbs. So Oshawa is a great area. York Region, where I work mostly in Aurora, Newmarket, Richmond Hill type area. Those areas are booming right now, just because you can get a big backyard or that acre land potentially. Because the prices of condos in Toronto, you can get pretty good property if you go further north for that same price.
And has there been a specific region or market that people have been migrating to more to go for that like extra space, bigger property kind of idea?
For sure. For sure. Yep. So I would say anywhere from Aurora, Newmarket north, there's been a ton of people wanting to move to those areas, especially Georgina. That's a really up and coming area. Barrie, Innisfil, those areas are super popular right now. I'm seeing like the yearly growth rate in those areas is around 6%, which is really high. I mean, standards somewhere around 3 to 4%. So those areas are really booming, and there's like multiple offers on pretty much every property there right now.
Okay. With obviously COVID, a massive problem that the province has been facing has been a rise in homelessness. I'm not. Where are you in specifically?
Sorry, say that again.
Or are you living in Toronto, or where are you living?
I'm living in Aurora.
Okay, so like I don't know if there is a big shift in Aurora, but like I know in Oshawa specifically, there's definitely been a rise in homelessness. I'm not sure if the same is for Aurora. Uh, Obviously, a huge thing is that a lot of people aren't able to afford housing or they've lost their homes because of COVID and stuff like that. Do you think also a large portion of it is due to a potential inflation that has gone up for buyers and renters?
For sure. For sure. I think it's really unfortunate with the rising homeless rates. I think, based on what I've seen as well, is that something that a lot of towns and cities near me, at least, are looking into. They're trying to make a lot more affordable housing, whether that is, you know, smaller homes and row townhouses, that sort of thing. Or even if you're moving up towards Barrie, Innisfil, you can find some pretty affordable houses that way too. So I think that's something that's super important, and I think that's something that will be focused on quite a bit in the coming years as well. Because especially when this pandemic is over, unfortunately, with a lot of people losing their jobs, it's going to be the reality of for a lot of people.
So you think this is going to get worse before it gets better?
I think it will. Hopefully not, but it's hard to say.
And are you dealing in any of this the more affordable housing, or are you dealing with more like upper scale private residential kind of things?
No, I do affordable housing as well. It's mostly townhouses outside of Aurora Newmarket. Those areas are pretty pricey. But if you're looking in areas like Keswick, Innisfil, Barrie, Oshawa, you can find some fairly affordable townhouses. So I definitely do deal in that as well.
Okay, wonderful. And last kind of COVID question. You mentioned that like 95% of the real estate industry kind of didn't know how to react when COVID kind of took over the world.
Yeah.
Uh, how has the dropout rate of real estate? Like, have you noticed a significant drop in the amount of real estate agents, or are a lot of them kind of sticking around, waiting to see what happens?
No, there's been a huge drop in agents. I mean, the first 2 years of any agent's career, I can't remember the exact statistic, but I think it's around 70 to 90% of agents like quit within their first 2 years. Um, And because of the pandemic, I mean, that's going to be even higher. I'm already seeing just a ton of agents drop off. So really, if you don't have the willpower and the ability to shift, um, it's not gonna work for you.
What do you think is the biggest factor for a lot of these people that don't, in that 2 years, don't see their metric of success hit? Like, is it an amount of money being brought in? Is it an amount of homes being turned over? Like, what do you think the factor is for that?
Yeah, I think it's just the amount of money coming in. I think right off the bat, you have to build your clientele basically from scratch, right? So unless you have a ton of people who are ready to buy or sell with you right when you get your license, you need to work that database for multiple years before anything starts to really start happening. And for a lot of people and families, that's just not something they can do because they need that income to pay their rent or pay their mortgage or whatever it is, right? So I'm also very fortunate where I live in an area that's not too pricey as far as rent goes. So I was able to stick through, I think, the toughest period while I was building my business.
Mm-hmm. So, and obviously, you mentioned the generating leads thing earlier. And I'm curious, I wanted to go back to that door to door kind of format because that's not a format I usually hear a lot of people do nowadays. What do you think, honestly, if you can guess percentage wise, what do you think is the actual turnover rate you had from going door to door in that old school kind of way?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly. So I would door knock 100 doors a day. I would talk to about 30 people out of those 100 doors. And I'd get about 2 to 3 leads from those 30 people.
Wow.
So I would know that if I go out, I'm going to get at least one more lead to put in my database and to stay in touch with and work over the years. It takes a lot of, you know, working with that person and gaining their trust over time. But it was super successful for me.
So you're working in like a 1 to 3% turnover rate for the physical door to door marketing. What about online marketing? Like what are some of the strategies you've used to gain some attention online?
Yep. So online, I really focus on for my younger demographic. I would say 35 and under. That's where most people in that age range are going to be looking. And most of those people are looking for people who, for an agent, that's their friend, that's a referral from a friend. Um, so that's a huge part of my business as well, is just staying up to date with everybody through mainly Instagram and Facebook, and just building the relationships that way as well, and keeping in top of mind of all those people.
No, that's great. I'm curious. So you're doing this thing by yourself independently, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm curious, why didn't you join like one of those corporate kind of organizations, the Remax or whatever? I don't know how corporate versus independent works in real estate, but I'm guessing it's
Yep.
something similar to kind of like how it is for working at an indie label by yourself to working at a corporate kind of thing. So, so what made you not want to do that?
So I am part of a brokerage called Keller Williams,
Okay.
but that allows me to work as an independent contractor. So I have my own business. I'm not working for anybody per se. Um, there is the option to work for a team, which is generally what most beginner agents do. And the reason for that is you get generally more leads through the team, and it's a little bit easier for your first, I'd say, 3 years being in the business because you have that support and you have those clients coming into you. But I decided not to go that route. I think because of the corporate world that I was in, because I wanted to build something where um, maybe I'm going to struggle for the first 2 years while I'm building my business. But after those 2 years, the rewards from it will be so much higher than if I had joined a team because I will have built something under my name that I can continue for X amount of years. And then when the time comes, pass that on to my kids.
No, I can imagine that. Like, I would assume it would be easier working in a corporate kind of setting because, like you said, is generating those leads.
Yeah.
And you really, wow, working at Universal really made you hate corporate, eh? Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So, for an independent agent, what do you think the most important qualities are to have versus a corporate agent?
Um, I think if you have the ability to be a self-starter and self-motivation, is probably one of the most important things if you are a solo agent. If you prefer somebody to keep you accountable, if you prefer having people around you that you can chat with every day and get that like that assistance whenever you need it, going with a team is definitely the way to go. For me, I am very like hands-on and very I like to be in control of what I'm doing. So I don't really want somebody else there. I want to do it myself. And on top of that, I know that I'm self-motivated, so I didn't need that extra push of somebody checking in on me to make sure I'm doing my work.
Oh, that's really great, and I commend you for doing that because, especially with the circumstances you're under and the fact that you are thriving and succeeding, that is truly remarkable, and I fully congratulate you on that. And I also congratulate you on your engagement. You recently got engaged as well.
Yes, thank you so much.
No,
Yeah, I'm
no.
very happy.
How long were you and her together?
We were together since high school, actually, so a long time. It was about 7 years.
Wow. Well, I'm very happy that you got to do that, especially during probably one of the shittiest years that has come to be in the past while.
Right, right. That was something to look forward to, at least.
Exactly. Have you guys talked about the wedding? I'm curious. Like, are you going to wait till COVID's done, wait a couple of years? What's the general plan?
Yeah, yeah. I don't want it to get screwed over by COVID, so we're definitely going to wait until it calms down and we can have our whole family there.
No, that's really great. All right, so we're going to take our last music break and another word from our sponsor, Anchor, and then we'll be back for part 3 to wrap this up. See you in a bit. right, welcome back to part three. Thank you again to Anchor for sponsoring this podcast. So, also, I want to go from the top here. I want to go through the actual process because I know a lot of people in our demographic don't actually know and aren't familiar with the process. What is the exact process of buying a house?
Right. So first thing I would say is number one, get an idea of what kind of house you're looking for. Get a rough basis of if you want, a detached townhouse, condo, what have you. Next step I would really say is reaching out to your bank or mortgage broker to see what you're pre-approved for. Something that's really important is you don't want to get pre-qualified. You want to get pre-approved. There's a big difference, and generally banks pre-qualify you, which is not so much a set in stone number. So when it comes to submitting deals, that might fall through because the bank's pre-qualification is not a firm thing. So I'd always make sure you get pre-approved. So find out what the maximum is that you can afford from a lender. So from there, you have an idea of what your max purchase price is, and we can take a look at what areas match what type of house you're looking for and what your price range is. So we can see, also where you are to work, that sort of thing. We keep that all in mind. So really, then from the pre-approval portion, then we move to the home search. So finding out what cities or towns you want to live in that match that price range, and start going to see these homes. Once you see the homes, we'll go through. Generally, what I do is I set you up on a home search. So I have my own program that's available on an app on your phone, super easy. It's almost like Facebook or Instagram in a way, where you get these new matches every day that match what you're looking for. You can like these properties, you can comment on them, and it's sort of like a social media platform because we can talk to each other about all these properties. And all of my clients love this. They're on it like more than I am. So it's awesome. And then from there, we'll narrow it down to usually your 5 favorite properties. I'll go out, book the showings for you and show you these homes, tell you what to look for in the homes, what's, going to be the best investment with your money over time, keeping in mind depreciation, everything like that. And the potential expenses or costs that you'll have to keep an eye open for as well. So things like if you need to fix the roof or how the foundation looks and things like that. From there, submitting an offer and negotiations with the seller. So I take care of all of that for you as well. And it's really just having you there to relay all of my expertise and my opinions of what the best step for you would be. From there, offers accepted, and it goes through what's called a title check. So that's done by a lawyer. So they're going to review the offer, make sure that the house or condo can get transferred to your name without any issues. And then it's closing day. So closing day is the day you get the keys. You pay the amount that you need to pay for the down payment, and the bank covers the rest for the purchase of the house, and the place is yours.
Okay. So to go through a couple of those things specifically, the first thing that really stuck out to me was this app. What about, so this is an app that you yourself have developed or you have someone develop for you?
It's actually something that's just become available through the Toronto Real Estate Board, but not too many agents are using it, and not too many know how to use it. So I think it's something that's super useful for especially people who are on their phones all day and enjoy the social media type platforms, because it's fun more than anything, and it makes the process a lot less stressful.
So so you said it's like a social media for apps. So basically the home, let's say a home seller would get on the app and list it through there, is what I'm trying to get here.
So it's for buyers, actually. So
Okay.
the sellers, I would basically take care. It's a completely different process for sellers, but that was the process for buyers. So this app is for the home search process, basically.
Okay, and
So I would set up
how do
the
the homes get
criteria.
Yeah, how do the homes get listed on the app?
Yeah, so the homes get listed on what's called the MLS. So
All right.
that's like the standard Toronto listing board. So what I would do in that process is I'd first sit down with the sellers and walk them through all the financials. So what they need to net at the end of the transaction is what's most important to us. From there, we'll take a look at what the market is saying that their house is valued at. Um, a big misconception is how much you list the home for. Sellers think, let's list it for 300,000 more than it's worth. Um, and really, you're not the one that determines how much your house is going to sell for. It depends on what the market will pay for it and how good your marketing and staging is. So we can only control one of those two things. I can control the staging, the photography, the video. We can't control what the market's going to pay, but we can make the market want to pay more if we market it the right way. So I'll sit down with you, tell you how I'm going to get you the most for your home. From there, I'll list the home and do all of my marketing strategies. There's a ton, so don't want to get into too much of that, but get the home marketed. Usually within, I would say, the first 2-3 weeks, the home is sold if you've done all of those steps correctly. And then the seller, same thing, just goes through the title transfer process and closing day.
Okay. No, that all makes sense. For first-time home buyers, what do you think the biggest hurdle that they have to overcome would be during this whole process?
I think the biggest thing is they're scared of the down payment, how much they have to save for the down payment. And the reality is there's different price brackets, but if you're buying a house or a condo under 500,000, you only need a 5% down payment. If you're buying a house from 500,000 to a million, you only need 10% as a down payment. And I feel like that number is a lot less than what most people think it is. So they scare themselves before actually looking into if it is possible for them. On top of that, there's first-time home buyer incentives. So if you're buying your first home, the government will actually pay you some money back because it's your first home purchase, which a lot of people don't know as well.
Yeah. So the economy and the market is really encouraging for first-time home buyers to get out there and actually get it done.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That actually sounds very intriguing. So 5% of 500,000 is, I'm terrible at math. What is that like?
That would be 25K.
Okay, that's not terrible. Yeah, it's definitely not as bad as a lot of people think. Because especially for me, like I'm a young guy, I want to figure out eventually buy a home, and this podcast has definitely been very enlightening for me to figure that stuff out. So it's good to know that there's guys like you out there to actually help people like me who know fucking nothing to get a house.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is too, I host first-time home buyer webinars. So during this webinar, I do it with my mortgage broker, and we'll walk you through all the steps of how to purchase your first home. So yeah, if you or anybody wants to be a part of that, just let me know.
Absolutely. I'm curious, has there been any like really weird requests for homes that people have had? Like, I really want this house to have this. Like, has there been anything kind of weird that stands out to you?
There haven't been, but I've helped because of my network. I've helped a ton of musicians buy places. So musicians are hilarious. Like I'm one of them too, so I understand it. But there's people who want to make soundproof rooms. There's people who want to buy a condo and they're a DJ. They want to crank the music, so they have to figure out a way to make it as quiet as possible. So there haven't been any sort of funny requests, but it's always a bit of a challenge trying to figure that end out if you're going to be playing loud music.
Well, especially if you're a DJ in a condo, that just sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. So taking a look at what kind of walls they have and everything like that, keeping in mind how the sound's going to transfer as well.
Absolutely. So we'll get this wrapped up here. What's the future plans for you in this real estate business?
Future plans is just continue what I'm doing, continue as a solo agent, and my future goal is to own my own team. So I want to be the leader of a team and have agents working with me to sort of start my own real estate empire in a way. So I'm expecting that in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, and what would the qualities of some of these people be that you're looking to potentially join your team in the next 5, 10 years?
Definitely. So I'm looking for people who are just as motivated as I am. people who are creative and self-starters. It's okay if people need that, reassurance or teaching or that accountability, because that's who I can be for them. Because I understand that's really important in the team process. And yeah, so I just love being a leader, and I love helping others get to what their goals are as well.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to wrap up this podcast. Austin, I want to thank you again for taking the time to join me and discuss some of the real estate pitfalls and just everything about the real estate industry that we've discussed today. So really appreciate it. Thank you very much for that.
Definitely. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Where can people find you and what you do?
They can find me on Instagram and Facebook. It's just Austin Clark Real Estate.
All right, and all the links on YouTube will be in the description down below. Austin, thank you again. I will see all of you next week. Take it easy.